Hi everyone, Bella TV. Jennifer here with Dr. Aviva Preminger. Obviously, we are in the middle of a global pandemic at the moment, and we're all taking it day by day and, trying to remember general safety practices and sanitary practices and considering your overall health. So, from a medical professional, what are some of the things that you can suggest to people or that you're noticing more and more of that people are concerned about?
So I think first of all, to reassure people, doctors' offices and surgeons' offices in particular have always been a place where hand washing and hygiene and sterility is of the utmost importance. So, the bottle of Purell that's in every room and on my desk has actually been there before we started with all this coronavirus stuff. But I do think that there are some changes that we've made in terms of how we practice. And some changes that we all have needed to make in everyday life. And so, one of them is that we have limited the number of patients in the office at any given time. I think that we have some patients who are concerned about transportation and public transportation to the office, which is something that we've begun to accommodate. I think that as far as patients who are post-op from a procedure and they have any concerns or they need to follow up, we are open and having patients follow up. For some of the elective stuff that's going on, we're not doing major surgical procedures that require general anesthesia at this time, just because I think it's prudent for us to kind of hold off right now given what's going on in the world and the strain that the hospitals are actually feeling. But I do think that it's perfectly safe to go ahead with minor procedures under local anesthesia in the office. I'm actually having a fair number of patients come in for things like injectables because they have a bit of downtime actually right now, and if they bruise, well, they've got no big events going on. There's no weddings, there's no bar mitzvahs, there's no conferences, everybody's working from home, and so it does give people a little bit of recovery time. And then I think that the other thing, which actually one of my patients shared with me today that I didn't even think about, is that you need to start, when you're working from home and you're teleconferencing all day, people are starting to notice things about their skin or lines on their face, the lighting, and so I think that that's something that we can help with, because people start to notice things that they don't notice when they're working from their desk on a regular basis. So I think all of those things are true, and I think it's all about balance. I think we all need to be careful. I think everybody's concerned, but I think that there's also a difference between concern and panic, and we need to kind of balance all of our patients' needs.
I agree, and I love the balance that you mentioned, and I think it's reassuring just the fact that you're still open and it's business as usual and you are taking those safety precautions, but you're letting people know as well that you're still here and please come in.
And we've also actually set up virtual consultations via something called DoxyMe. So if you have the time, which I think people are finding a lot of time on their hands now, and this is something that you wanted to do and you haven't been able to come in when you were working previously, well, now we can actually arrange for a virtual consultation. And, I think the other thing that's true right now, and I'm a mom, I have 3 kids at home, they're all homeschooling, it is a complete madhouse, is that I think it is important in a time like this when people are feeling kind of anxious to think about taking a little bit of time for yourself. And I think that makes people comfortable, and I think it helps people kind of cope in a really difficult time.
Agreed. And last, just to leave people with, because I know this is something that we're all struggling with, we want to keep up on the news and we want to stay educated, but then also face hysteria and you're hearing all these things and seeing these things that almost make you feel worse. So as someone in the medical industry, what's one thing that you want to leave people with?
I think that's a really good question, and I think there's so much information out there, and there's a lot of misinformation out there, which I think has always been true about plastic surgery and is now true about coronavirus. I think that at the end of the day, you want to be able to turn to legitimate sources, and don't necessarily take everything that your friends are posting on Facebook or Instagram at face value. I think look at where it's coming from, and be cautious, be safe. Follow the generally recommended guidelines by the CDC, and hopefully this too shall pass.
Of course. Well, thank you as always for having us and for your expert advice and tips. We appreciate it.
pleasure always. Thank you, Jennifer.